Hi there, this video is about the most essential shortcuts in Premiere Pro. It's actually one of the lessons from the Editing Chef, my premium course, and for the first time ever it's on the Black Friday sale. So if you're interested in that offer, check the link in the description. Let's cut to the lesson. The first shortcut that everyone should be familiar with, no matter which NLE they use, is head and tail trimming. By default in Premiere Pro, these two are assigned to Q and W respectively. Instead of trimming the clip manually and then closing the gap, you can perform the entire operation with a single hit of a button. I play a clip and right here I want it to start, deleting that first part. I just hit Q and it's done. The first part of the clip was deleted and all the clips that follow were automatically moved to the left, leaving no gaps on the timeline. W shortcut performs in a similar manner, only that it trims the part that is on the right side of the playhead. Next, we have a shortcut to add an edit point to all tracks. Alternatively, add an edit point to selected tracks. You just need a way of adding an edit point without using the eraser tool. I remapped it to D key because this way I can use one hand to do it at the same time having Q and W under fingertips as well. Repo Delete is another one I like to have at my fingertips all the time, so I mapped it to F on my keyboard. It will delete whatever you select, closing the gap that would be created. If your workflow creates a lot of gaps on the timeline, you should also map a shortcut for Close All Gaps command. Next one is the ability to add color labels to clips using shortcuts. I use numeric numbers without any modifiers for that purpose. Well, because Premiere Pro lets me add 16 different colors, so for the last 6 I do use Control modifier. The point is that it's an operation you want to make instantly, as we already discussed it in the labeling lesson. The same holds true for colored markers, which in many programs can be assigned to a shortcut as well. In my case, I like to use numbers from a numeric keyboard for these. Next one is actually a copy and paste shortcuts. I assume you already know this as well as other basic shortcuts, but I want to make a distinction between Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V combination and the one where you use Ctrl+Shift+V. The second one inserts the clips, moving everything on the right side of the playhead forward. In other words, it's an insert command. If you're using a different NLE, you just need to find a way to insert the clips in between others, as it's very useful in so many cases. In Premiere, it can be also achieved while dragging the clip and holding Ctrl on the keyboard before you release it. You also need to learn how to swap clips on the timeline in your NLE. In Premiere Pro, you just do it by dragging a clip and then pressing and holding Ctrl+Alt. Next, you release the clip in a desired location on the timeline. It's possible in all major NLEs, so make sure you find out how to do it in yours. Next, we want to be able to rename clips on the timeline without touching the mouse. It's especially useful as a note-taking tool on the timeline, as we discussed in one of the previous lessons as well. I use Ctrl+Enter for that command. Linking audio and video clips is very important. A default combination in Premiere Pro is Ctrl+L for both linking and unlinking. As I usually like to save different stages of my editing process in separate sequences, I always duplicate the working sequence before the next major editing step. For the duplicate command, I use Ctrl+Shift+/. Soon we'll also talk about smart rendering throughout the process. For now, let me just say that you should know and assign a shortcut to render a desired portion of a timeline. I use Shift+Enter to render the timeline inside manually added in and out points. Talking about selections, you should know a shortcut to make an in and out point selection with one hit of a button. In Premiere, it's / that does the job without leaving us an additional frame at the end of the selection. So it goes like this. I make a selection on the timeline, hit /, and whatever that selection was, it's now inside an in and out area. Another Premiere Pro specific set of shortcuts you should map on your keyboard are shortcuts associated with timeline buttons, namely for activating linked selection and snapping. I use Z and S respectively. Whenever you drop a clip on a timeline that has a different resolution than a sequence, you'll have to rescale it. Never use scale to frame size, as it's a destructive command. Instead use set to frame size, which will automatically scale the clip so the width of it matches the sequence. If the aspect ratio of the clip and sequence are different, then you still may need to set the motion value manually and copy-paste it for other instances to avoid black bars. But it is the fastest way in most cases. I use number 1 on the numeric keyboard. You can show guides with a menu command or even a program button, but it's one of those things you just want to activate and deactivate quickly. I use Alt+Shift+G and it gives me this quick preview of guides whenever I want to. So that's about 15 different types of shortcuts, but obviously we have just scratched the surface of what's possible or even needed in your workflow. For example, if you often work with multicam sequences, then I could name another 5 shortcuts that would be instrumental for uninterrupted editing experience and speed improvement. Wherever you feel like there is a command you use frequently, assign it to a shortcut. The more often you use these shortcuts, the more it will be part of your muscle memory. And again, if you're interested in that time-limited offer for the editing shaft, check the links in the description. And till the next time, bye!